Dave here. How are you? I see AV's all good. Thanks for that, Peter. Today is the 18th of July 2021, and it's been really cold and windy. And add to that, Sydney is now in a massive lockdown with COVID. And I've thought, you know what the hell, I'm going to go and get my shots. So I'm booked in for tomorrow morning to get shot in the arm. Now, I've noticed the younger generation here, a lot of them are seeing it as a conspiracy theory of some sort. Well, good on them. We all did that when we were teenagers and the early 20s, you know, oh, the government's out to get us and they're going to track us and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know what? This is where the Darwin Awards are going to kick in. Now, honestly, you can choose not to take it, your call, but I'm thinking that the statistics speak for themselves. Anyway, enough of that. If you've got thoughts on that, throw them in the chat because it makes them for interesting chat whilst I'm doing stuff today. Now, today on the show, we will be having a look at two different ways of putting a gloss finish on this river table. Now, you might see it behind me there. I'm going to bring it over here in a minute. And you can have a look at the first section that I've done, which is with a pour. Now, I use this stuff. This is a 1-to-1 mix. This is on top of, after I've done all the prep on the resin, poured it, sanded it back, did all of the work with the saw, cut it to shape, put a 1/4-inch round over all around the top, sanded it down to, I think, 500 grit I took it to, then I poured this on. Now, I'm not going to show you pouring it on. I'm actually going to do a video of the whole process, so it might make it easier if someone doesn't want to watch the 3 shows on how I did the whole thing. I'll do a condensing of it, not a condensation. Condense the whole thing. All right, so that's how I put this top coat on. Now, before I bring it over here, I'm going to put some stuff down on top of the bench here to protect it, because even though it's been 3 days since I put the last coat on, did 2 coats of it, even though it's been 3 days, I'm going to make sure that I don't scratch it. These things always harden up over time, so just be aware of things like that. So I've got this stuff here. This is just a draw liner rubber stuff. You can use it as a router mat if you want to as well. Got it from a supermarket, and I'm going to roll out 2 pieces of it on here. And even though my bench has got the anti-slip and all that kind of stuff, I am going to put this on top because I haven't got anything right at the front here. Let me roll it out, and I'll have a quick read while I'm doing this. Now, with the lockdown, it's going to be at least 2 weeks. I reckon it's probably going to go a month. You know, if watching the news and seeing how people are responding, where they're saying, oh, it's not going to affect me, and oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I don't think there's much hope for us. Australia's been in a situation where we've been really blessed as far as this thing's concerned, and I think we've taken it for granted because we're an island that hardly anyone is going to come here and upset the apple cart. But we've realised after a while, well, you can't just keep the doors shut forever. We're going to have to start letting people come in and what have you. Am I annoying anyone talking about this kind of stuff? Anyway, this stuff is pretty cheap to buy. I think it was about $7 a roll or something like that. And there's a heap left there, as you can see. Okay, I'll have a quick read while I'm waiting. Good morning, Ash. Morning, Bob, Giles, Baby, Peter, Michael House, Bianca, Russell, Derek, Wayne, Mike, Russell again. All right, and I'm going to show you soon, not quite yet, but I will show you, and Monday meetup, Whiskers and Woodwork and Whiskers. If you get a chance to see that channel on Instagram and on YouTube, jump in and have a look. They do normally, he does a kind of a 10-minute meet an Australian maker. I was on it, I didn't rate very well, but that's just bad luck. The other guys are worth watching. All right, now, you ready? Are you ready to see this thing? Now, people were concerned It wasn't going to be gloss anymore. This is just beautiful. Now, the thing, I'll lay it down on its back. What do you think of that? Come on, you've got to throw some comment in. Put that down there. I'll throw it on its back and we'll go to Carl Camp. How nice is this? Now, Cole, let me get down. Oops, that's not reading that properly. You like it? That's fine. It's fine, Ash. Anyway, so I was going to talk about good things and not good things. Hold on, I better do this post on Instagram, otherwise I'll forget. There we go. Fingerprint. Yes, come on. Doesn't recognize me. Okay. You'll get another message in a second. Finishing up. Done. Okay. That's all done out of the way. You'll get another post on Facebook and Instagram, what have you. All right. So, advantages and disadvantages is what I was going to talk about. Doing the pour over the top to get this glass-like finish that is, maybe 3 millimeters thick overall. I did 2 coats. First coat was basically there was a couple of holes here and there and bubbles popped up out of the timber that I didn't have any finish on. So that was my first coat. It was pretty thin, and then I sanded it back with 500, sanded it with 220 and then 500 paper over the whole thing. Actually, this particular, when I did the second coat, I just sanded it with 500. Then poured the second coat. Now, after I poured the second coat, I'll show you what I did. This doesn't like going around on the glass. That might be a little bit of an issue. What I'll do is I'll get a book, throw that there. That's working. I covered it. So that's after I did the pour. I got some of the legs off my bench and put a sheet of ply over it and then 2 smaller sheets either end to stop any dust bunnies falling on it. Now that worked, but there was a bubble in the center here. Now I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I should have said when I put the first coat on, it was to seal it, and I expected bubbles to pop up. Even though I went around with a gas torch, popped them all, they eventually popped back up again. As it was going into the timber was releasing this air. So sanded it all, and basically that was the seal, and then did another pour of 1 litre over the whole thing, and it worked great. Except for I've got one bubble in the middle here, of course I have, and I'll shave that off with a razor blade and then just finally polish that up to maybe 1,000. And then I was thinking about a little bit of clear nail polish just to bring it up the same as the rest of it. I'll give that a test and report back how that went. Now, so that's the advantages. You get this super thick glass look. The disadvantage is you can get bubbles and you'll have to muck around with it a bit. And also on the edges, now along here, you probably won't see it, but there are some dribbles, like it runs over the edge. Of course it does. So I put a tarpaulin out for it to drop onto. Now when it dropped, it started at the top like wide, the right width, and then as the run went down the edge, it pulled itself together, and so you have these kind of sections. It's a little bit bumpy along the edge. I'll see if I can set this camera up so you can see it. It might work. Let's have a look. Maybe not. All right. Along here, just here, there's some bumps. That's pretty good. Bump here. There's a big bump here. And then up the end here, there's a fair few. Now, I'm going to live with that. I don't care. So back to the main camera, and I'll tell you about what we're going to do today. Put that back over there. I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm playing off all of the bottoms of those drips. You'll see it in a second. Oh, so nice. Now this is the underside. I'm going to move it around a little bit more. I'm being a bit ginger with it on purpose. All right, I've got a couple of spots here. You'll see I've got some tape there. That was to stop any resin bleeding through from the other side when I was working on it. This is Gorilla Tape, and it's really stuck. It works as claimed. What is the estimated cost of epoxy and tint? Well, how about you go to Carbotec's website, which is, I've got a link in the description box below to Carbotec's website, and it's an affiliate link. So if you go in there, you might even see, it might even be taking you directly to this resin. So I used 9 litres of resin to make the table. I used around about 1.5 litres of the top coat. Now I'm going to finish the bottom with a spray can. And you'll be able to see whether or not you like it. You like it, Peter? I've nearly got all of these off. One more to go after this. And then we'll get the plane out. I've got a few different planes so we can have a look to see which ones perform the best. I've got a low angle, I've got a turner number 6, and I've got my plane that I made, the wooden one. Throw that away, this last little bit. Once I've got the first coat on the bottom, I'll show you a couple of other things. All right. Old Faithful. It's just lovely, isn't it? All right, I'm going to see how it goes. All right, let's go down a little bit deeper. This is a beautiful plane. Yep, that's slowly getting it. I'll prove it's getting it. You see inside. See little bits? Starting to get a little bit more than just bits. It's starting to get shavings here and there. Make sure that we've got enough happening here. I'm going to go back this way a little bit. I'm working the corner on purpose because I don't want to snap it off on the outside. I'm working back into the job. So I'll do that up here as well. That's looking all right. Down the whole thing again. Whoop. Careful, David. Don't want to do what I was just talking about. That's looking pretty good. Yep, I think we'll be okay. Look at that. Oh, it's fun. Nearly there. Beautiful. Back it up a touch. That'll do me there. They're starting to shave the timber out. Magic. All right, now this is going to take a little while. Any reason I'm not using a sander? The reason I'm not using a sander is because these bumps are up around about 5 millimeters. So I'm just taking it down close rather than use the sander. Then I'll jump in with the sander when I'm there. Spin this around to here. And then maybe get the mouse and go to that one. There. That might help you see it a little bit better as to why I'm doing it this way. See, we've got bumps all over the place here and nothing down here. Up a touch. That's pretty good there. Then down the back. Actually, I was going to spin the whole thing around. And up we go, carefully. It'll be okay on those little bumps. There we go. And it's looking pretty good. Oh, lovely. Back it up just a touch. All right, last bit, last leg down here. Switch the cameras again. Have a quick read. What have we got there? I mean, what sort of plane is that big? It's one that I made. I've done did a video on how I made it. Have a look back through the channel. Made one mistake with that. This plane, you'd be better resharpen the blade afterwards. 6 knots. Yep. Okay. So let's use the Turner number 6. Now, if you haven't seen these, I had an operation about a year and a half ago and was out of action for about 7 weeks for heavy stuff. So I bought a few of these and restored them. And I've done a video on that, and I made a display for them as well. Let's see if this will work. The turner also does a lovely job. Yeah, there's a guy called Ian Kerry who gave me the bug of collecting these things. Oh, that's no good. Took a chunk. You probably turn around now and say, oh, that's why you should have used the sander. All right. And now I think I will use the sander for the rest. I was going to jump in with the low angle as well, but I don't know. This timber here is really kind of strange to work with because being cut through at 30 degrees through the tree, it's very hard to work out which direction the grain is always going. Anyway. Come through from the other side. Yeah, and I can fix that. Oh, nearly fixed. Oh, the low angle is beautiful on it. There's another tip. The low angle is the better plane for all of it. Now, which direction is this one going to go? Other direction. Come across the back without getting it in my tea. How are we doing for time? Nearly past. I'm not going to stuff this up just for saving time. I'm going to spin it around and sand and plane that side as well. Give me a second. Let it go. All right. Okay, it's this way around. Gotcha. Actually, I think that's going to be okay. All right, we're going to hit it up with some sandpaper. I'll do 220, and then you'll see I've got all this stuff prepared, ready for giving a spray. 180, 220. Now, when I'm using the ETS3, a couple of tips on using the sanding paper, on a sander, I should say. First thing is have a look at the pad. Make sure there's nothing stuck there. See, there was a little bit of sawdust there. You might think nothing of it, but get rid of it because that's going to create a proud area and that will help to give you swirlies. Now then you check the back of the paper and again, Make sure the Velcro isn't holding on to anything. And then have a look at the other side, make sure there's no tears, because the tear will end up folding a little bit and it will also leave a swirly. Now this has got what's called a 3mm stroke, which means the orbit, the tiny little orbit, see this will spin, but also the whole pad is got an orbit of 3mm. So it's very fine. I use a 5mm orbit up to 400 grit paper, and then normally I go 3mm orbit from 400 and up. Well, I don't have the 5mm on me at the moment. I'm not going to drag the Rotex out for this. So we'll do this, and okay. Made a mistake with the statement. It's my plan, and you better resharpen the blade afterwards. Derek low angle jack to the rescue. Perhaps a small bevel on to cut the edge. I could do that. I'm going to... All right, so I'm going to make a little bit of noise. It's not a lot of noise. This is quite a quiet plane. And we'll sand with this, and then we'll hit it with 500. Oh, one other thing. The dust extractor I've turned all the way down to low, so it's not pulling hard against the surface. If your dust is running full bore, it's going to suck it down hard, and anything in there is going to leave swirlies big time. Turn it all the way down. If you don't have that capacity, what you can do is in the hose, some people have used a little bit of conduit, large size conduit, and put a hole in it. You notice on a standard vacuum cleaner, they've got the little thing that you slide down on the handle to open up a little bit of air so it's not pulling as hard. Same thing. Here we go. That's looking quite good. I'll go to Carl Cam while we're doing this. There we go. You can see how it's going. I'll go over the back here so you can watch. Bring it along so you can see it better. See this area here? It looks like it's all broken up. You watch. Now Cole tells me that he's going to watch everything I do today because he used to spray cars for 20 years. I told him he wasn't allowed to watch today. All right, now that's 220. And one of the reasons I like this paper is that it doesn't clog up, especially with resin. This is granite and it's got a coating on it so that it rejects anything from bogging up on it. It's expensive, but man, oh man, it's worth it. It works so well. All right, so that's that. Let's go to some 500 if I've got some here. Again, just check the paper to make sure that there's nothing torn on it or nothing stuck there and nothing on the back. And then the pad again, even when you put it down. I'll come around this side. There's a little bit there. Anything like that that sits proud is going to annoy you. And line the holes up. It's always another good thing. All right, let's have a go at this. Now, whilst I've got my hand on top of the machine, I'm not really pushing down on it, I'm just directing it. I find this is better than holding it onto the handle, because if you hold the handle, it ends up pushing the machine backwards, and that's not good. So if I hold it here, this happens. So if I hold it here, it's much better control. This is going to be about another 3 minutes, and then we'll be into it. And also make sure you overlap when you're sanding. Like when I was talking about with the CNC, the thing called a step over, it's the same kind of thing. Overlap so you make sure you get all of it. And don't go too fast. I've seen people just go, and next thing you know, it looks terrible. Now this is the bottom of the table, so obviously it doesn't have to be finished as well. The reason I'm putting a finish on it is I want to seal the timber so it doesn't start warping around. Actually, what I'll do is give it a quick run along with, take the arras off. Beautiful. All right. Next thing to do is use a tack cloth. Now this isn't a tack cloth. This is a microfiber cloth, but it'll do the same job. Now you watch down here. When you just give it a little bit of a rub, starts to bring it up straight away. It's getting rid of all of the dust. We don't want any dust there for when we hit it with the next finish. See that? Around the edges as well. Now here and here I've got a couple of holes. Doesn't really worry me, but what I'm going to do is suck the dust out of them. Turn the vacuum up on this one. Done. All right. Move that out of the way. Move this one out of the way. And move the book out of the way. Get this. Go to Carl Cam, we'll have a quick look from the top. So you can see now it's looking pretty good, but it hasn't got that shiny pop that the other side has got. So we'll go back to this one. Now, next thing to do, move these guys over here, is to start shaking the can. Now these things, they say to shake the thing up for about 2 minutes. I've already given it a bit of a shake before I came onto the show, but it doesn't hurt. I always spray and then give it a shake in between passes as well, so that works. Only good use for a golf course is drop the front wheel of your motorbike. Okay. I'm not a fan of golf. My daughter likes golf a lot. They play it all the time. Now, I'm going to set it up over here on I've prepared a bench already with a tarpaulin underneath it, and also let's lift this one up. I'll change the cameras around. Also with some carpet underlay. Now I'm going to get rid of those. I don't want those there. And I'll bring the top over. You can go straight onto that. And on there. Now, I'm also going to do some blue tape around the edges. Talk about blue tape. Vicky grabbed the last lot of blue tape that I had because she's painting the house and doing a magic job of it. I'll show you some video soon of how She does a great job. Pull it out straight, back to me. Now I'm putting the tape on because I don't want to mix up the appearance of the high gloss glass in comparison to the spray gloss. The spray gloss isn't going to be as impressive. Let me put it that way. I will let it lap over ever so slightly. That's looking pretty good. Bring it back up here. Nearly done. In a second, I'm going to show you some test pieces that I did just on the offcuts without sanding at all. And that's going to kind of highlight to you the reason or the necessity to sand to a reasonably fine grit. Not too fine, just reasonably fine. I'm going to bring it to there and give it another rub with a tack cloth because I can feel a couple of bits of stuff still on it. That's looking good, feeling great, very smooth. Beautiful. All right. Bring this camera back over here. And I think about there is going to be a good spot for you. Okay. All right. What am I looking for now? This guy. Very important. You wear something like this. I'm going to throw some gloves on. Don't really need gloves with spray can, but it looks the part. All right. Other side. Let me come back over here. So I just wear these disposers. Don't be tempted to blow into these things because if you do, you're going to put condensation in there and they'll stick to you. So don't, even if you've used them, don't blow on them. All right. So we're back to the clear gloss. A bit more of a shake. You excited? You'll be amazed when you see it go on. So you were just thinking the same about what? Let me have a look here. When indoor course, have total control who gets in. From Florida, woodworking in the 21st century. I've got the dust mask going on now. Okay. I was going to show you the test pieces. Now this, obviously this is very thin and you're not going to see too much. But that's the timber without any real sanding preparation. So I'm thinking it's going to be okay. Now with spraying, it's best to do it in a ventilated area. This is not at the moment, but I've got the mask on. And I'm going to work from this side to the other side. And it's just a matter of constant and then off the end
constant off the end and back. Overlap a little bit. So here we go. Now you've got to think that looks pretty special. Now this stuff will stick to plastic, but you've got to give it 7 days. Just a constant motion. You'll get a feeling for it as you do it. And I can recoat at any time. So I'm going to recoat any second now. They say to do it within 30 minutes or after 48 hours. So you can see it's soaking in to the timber. So I'm going to let it soak in a little bit more. It's not soaking into the resin. You'll see it sitting up on the resin, but the timber has soaked it up big time. So I'm going to start a second coat now. I'm keeping it about 25 centimetres, 250 millimetres away from the surface. And notice I start the spray just away from the job, and I keep spraying until I'm gone past the edge. Now the other thing with the spray can, when you finish spraying, you tip it upside down and give it a squirt, just to clear the nozzle. All right, that's looking pretty good. What do you reckon? Wet on wet. All right, that's an interesting comment there, BG. All right, now let's have a look. We'll come back to here. I'm going to open a door to let a bit of ventilation in here. And the other one down the other end. That's looking pretty good. I'll also give it another coat in another 5 minutes because I can see it just going in nicely. Okay, that's looking pretty good. As I said, this is the underside.
Okay, that's all good. What do you think? Pull those off. Now, I did say that my girls have been doing stuff. So, lockdown. You wonder why my workshop is normally pretty clean. It's a genetic thing. This is my daughter's pantry. So she she loves having things organized. This is Bianca. And they're all different types of tea. And everything is labeled. And she's done it in such a way, she's got a little printer that prints the labels, so they're all at the right height. All of the fridge is exactly the same. I think it is an oil-based. Give me a second. Okay, and so that's that. And this timber, the medullary rays, I think they're called medullary rays. They're just popping on the camphor laurel. They look great. Back to here. What's that? You don't need a bird book for your mouse? Yes, it is. So Bianca Long there is my daughter. What's the next thing? Okay, so now I said that Vicky's been doing some painting. So I have the absolute best wife in the world. Now, how many of you guys, or women, would your partner do this? You're doing a great job, baby. I'll keep you on.
That's good.
You tell me. It's beautiful. I love her. And she's doing, the room is coming up beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. Probably not health and safety style, but it's in my own home. And she's great. I love her. All right, now, what was the other thing we were going to look at whilst we were here? Oh, next week on the show, like if you guys want to hang around and watch while I do it, just a little bit more on it, that's fine. But next week on the show, we're going to start building a unit inside a little area I've got beside the laundry for a clothes dryer to go in. Now, this clothes dryer is better than the table. All right, so this clothes dryer is on the floor at the moment, and it bugs me. I'm getting older. I don't want to bend down to put things in. I already have to do it for the washing machine, but you know, if I can get past the washing machine's in its own little area, the dryer can't be there. So I'm going to build this unit so it's the dryer, when I open the door, is at handle height for me to just open like this. I'm going to put a shelf, a pull-out shelf that comes out into the hallway where the dryer will live, that I can put a clothes basket full of washing to be dried. When I open the door, it's not going to hit the basket. It's going to be at the right height. So this is where I'm going to put it. So you can see we've been fixing this old place up. We built the place together years and years and years and years ago. And like Vicky and I built that thing. So I'd be up on the floor, putting frames together, writing down lengths of noggins, throw a piece of timber down with all the lengths on it. She'd dock them all to length. She'd throw the noggins up to the second story for me. I'd nail them in with a gun. We'd stand the frames together. So originally we built that place as it was a smaller building on the property. And then one thing led to another and we extended it. And so I had a team of carpenters come in and give me a hand for the rest of it. My son-in-law jumped in and gave me a hand as well. So we did that possibly 20, 22 years ago, did the extension on it. So Vicky and I have been around the building game for a long, long time, and she's fantastic. Love her. All right, what next? What next? What next? That's right. So that's what's going to be happening on the show next week. We'll get started with that, and I'll go to camera 3 and we'll do another spray, because that's settling in quite nicely. Gloss clear. I'm going to put the mask on again because I'm going to. That's all there is to it.
Yep, well, we do that at our own place. See the difference already? A little bit of a breeze there. So the advantage of doing this is that there's no run over the edge, there's no air bubbles, I can see how it's going on. I'm just about empty on this can. That's all right. That's it. I'm going to leave it there and jump back here.
All right. Okay. Separate baskets for whites and colours. I just chuck everything in no tidy pantry. Me either. Just reading that. Dear. All right. All right. Okay, guys, it's 12 o'clock. That looks like it might be it. Thanks, everyone, for hanging around and watching. It's come up a treat. It's not hard. You saw that, you know, I breezed through it. It wasn't too hard. You know, just be patient and it will work. It goes really well. You know, one step to the next. Try and find a spot where it can be away from other stuff and warm. See, I didn't really have the best time of the year to do this. I had to leave the heater on in here, so, you know, it cost me as far as that's concerned, as far as power is concerned. But warm, away from dust. And if it's in your workshop, try and separate it a little bit, because if you start wanting to do other jobs in the workshop, like using the saw and everything, well, you know, you're going to end up trouble with it. So I like it. I think it came up well. All right. Okay, there we go. Great show as always, Dave. Catch the first half of the replay. Magnificent. Yep, Peter, great show. Excellent. Thank you very much for everyone for watching. Let me see. Close the show and show. Yep, that's the one I'm after. Look after yourselves. Be nice to each other, and I shall see you next week. Bye.